Captain Hyunwoo Park stood on the bridge of the UES Determination, watching the stars bend and twist as his ship dropped out of hyperspace. Around him, 200 human warships did the same, their hulls gleaming with the blue and white colors of the United Earth Federation. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled, and they were heading straight into unknown danger. "Sir, we have visual contact with the alien escort," reported Lieutenant Sora Young from her position at the sensors. Her voice was steady, but Hyunwoo could hear the tension underneath. This was the first time any human had seen alien ships up close. On the main screen, 12 crystalline vessels appeared. They were beautiful in a cold, perfect way, like sculptures made of living glass. Each ship was twice the size of a human dreadnought, and they moved with a grace that made human ships look clumsy in comparison. These were Veltari vessels, and they had been waiting. "Admiral Kim is requesting all captains report to the flagship for briefing," announced Communications Officer Min Jae Kang. His hands shook slightly as he spoke. Everyone knew what this meant. After 50 years of expanding across the galaxy, humanity had finally attracted the attention of the powers that ruled the stars. Hyunwoo nodded and turned to his second-in-command. "Commander Yoo-Jin Lee, you have the bridge. Keep us information and watch those alien ships. If they so much as twitch wrong, I want to know about it." Yoo-Jin saluted. She was young for a commander, but she had proven herself in the border conflicts with human pirates. "Understood, sir. What if they try to communicate? Record everything but don't respond until we know what Admiral Kim wants us to do," Hyunwoo said. He grabbed his cap and headed for the shuttle bay. Around him the ship hummed with nervous energy. The crew knew they were making history, but nobody knew if they would live to tell about it. The trip to the flagship Indomitable took 20 minutes. As Hyunwoo's shuttle flew between the human ships, he felt a surge of pride. These weren't pretty vessels like the alien escorts. Human ships were built for war, with thick armor plating and weapon systems that could crack a moon in half. They looked dangerous because they were dangerous. Admiral Jaemin Kim was waiting in the main briefing room when Hyunwoo arrived. The admiral was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes, but everyone in the fleet would follow him into hell if he asked. Around the table sat the other ship captains, including Bo-Ra Choi from the science vessel Discovery and Tae Young-oh from the stealth ship Ghost. "Thank you all for coming quickly," Admiral Kim began without ceremony. "As you can see, we have been met by an escort of 12 alien warships. These belong to something called the Galactic Council, and they have invited us to present ourselves at their capital." The word "invited" is being used very loosely here. He activated a hologram showing the alien ships in detail. "Our intelligence officer, Commander Yoo-Jin Lee, has been studying everything we know about galactic politics. What she found is not encouraging. The Council has ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They consist of 7 different alien species, all of them older and more advanced than us." Captain Bo-Ra Choi raised her hand. "Sir, what exactly do they want from us?" "According to their message, we are to answer for our aggressive expansion and violations of galactic order," the Admiral said with a bitter laugh. "Apparently setting up colonies wherever we want and not asking permission first has made us criminals." The room fell silent. Everyone had grown up knowing that space was free for anyone brave enough to claim it. The idea that aliens had rules about where humans could go was both shocking and insulting. "What are our options, sir?" asked Captain Tae Young-oh. His stealth ship specialized in gathering intelligence, so he understood the situation better than most. Admiral Kim looked around the table at his captains. "Officially, we have 3 choices. We can agree to meet with this council and try to negotiate. We can refuse and try to fight our way out, or we can surrender and hope they are merciful." "And unofficially?" asked Hyunwoo. "Unofficially, I think we are about to find out what humanity is really made of," the Admiral said. "These aliens think they can order us around because they are older and have better technology. They have never met a species like us before." Dr. Min-ho Song, the fleet's chief scientist, spoke up from the back of the room. "Admiral, I have been analyzing the energy signatures from those escort ships. Their technology is indeed more advanced than ours, but it seems to follow completely different principles. Where we use brute force, they use elegance. Where we build for durability, they build for efficiency." "What does that mean in practical terms?" asked Admiral Kim. "It means their ships are probably faster and have better weapons than ours, but they might not be as tough in a real fight," Dr. Song explained. They appear to be built by a civilization that has not had to worry about serious threats for a very long time. Admiral Kim nodded slowly. That matches what we suspected. According to the intelligence reports, most of these council species have not fought a real war in centuries. They maintain order through technological superiority and the threat of force, not actual combat experience. So what are you thinking, sir? Asked Captain Bora Choi. I am thinking that these aliens are about to get a very unpleasant surprise, Admiral Kim said with a grim smile. But first, we need to play their game and see what they really want. Captain Choi, I want you to take a small diplomatic team to meet with the council representatives. Find out exactly what they expect from us. Bora nodded. Who should I bring with me? Take Dr. Song for scientific expertise and diplomat Yoon Soo Han for negotiations. And Captain Choi? Remember that everything you say and do will determine whether humanity remains free or becomes a subject species. As the meeting broke up, Hyunwoo found himself walking back to the shuttle bay with Admiral Kim. Sir, can I ask what you really think our chances are? The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Hyunwoo, 50 years ago, humans were confined to one star system. Today we have colonies in over 400 systems. We did that not because we were the strongest or the smartest, but because we never accepted that something was impossible. And now? Now we find out if that is enough, Admiral Kim said. These aliens have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They think they know how the universe works. But they have never met a species that grew up fighting for every scrap of food, every breath of air, every inch of ground. They are about to learn that humans do not kneel easily. As Hyunwoo returned to his ship, he looked out at the alien escorts again. They were still beautiful, still perfect, still waiting with the patience of immortals. But now he saw something else in their crystalline hulls. Complacency, arrogance, the confidence of beings who had never been truly challenged. Back on the bridge of the Determination, Commander Eugene Lee reported that the alien ships had not moved or communicated since the fleet arrived. They were simply waiting as if the outcome was already decided. Sir, she said quietly, the crew is asking what happens next. Hyunwoo looked around the bridge at his officers. They were young, most of them born in space or on colony worlds. They had never known a universe where humans were not free to go wherever they wanted. The idea of bowing to alien masters was as foreign to them as the crystalline ships outside. Tell them the truth, Commander, he said. We are about to find out if humanity has what it takes to stand among the stars as equals, or if we will spend the rest of our existence as subjects of alien powers. Outside, the escort ships waited with perfect patience, confident in their technology and ancient authority. They had no idea that they were about to encounter something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that had clawed its way up from the bottom and was not about to stop climbing now. Captain Bora Choi felt her stomach twist as the shuttle approached the massive alien station. Quarantine Platform 7 was the size of a small moon, covered in strange geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. The fact that humans were being directed here instead of the main diplomatic facilities was not a good sign. Remember, we are representing all of humanity today, said diplomat Yoon Soo Han as she checked her formal clothes one last time. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a reputation for never backing down from a fight, even when the odds were hopeless. Dr. Min Ho Song was busy with his scanner, trying to understand the technology around them. The energy readings are incredible, he whispered. This station is powered by controlled antimatter reactions. We are dealing with science that is centuries ahead of ours. The shuttle docked with a soft thud, and the three humans stepped out into an airlock that was clearly designed for many different types of beings. The walls shifted and changed as they walked, adjusting to provide the right atmosphere and gravity for human physiology. It was impressive and deeply unsettling at the same time. They were met by a floating sphere that spoke in perfect English. Welcome, representatives of the species calling itself humanity. You will be escorted to the council chamber for evaluation. Please follow the guidelights and do not deviate from the prescribed path. The chamber they entered was vast beyond imagination. 7 different environmental zones had been created to accommodate the council members, each one a perfect recreation of an alien homeworld. In the center was a platform where the humans were clearly expected to stand and present themselves for judgment. Bora felt like a child called before the school principal, except the principal was an ancient civilization that could probably destroy Earth with a thought. She straightened her shoulders and walked to the platform with as much dignity as she could manage. The first council member to speak was a being of pure light that floated in a zone of crackling energy. When it spoke, the words seemed to come from inside their heads rather than their ears. "I am Prime Arbiter CouncilEscorted of the Luxari," the voice said with the weight of eons behind it. "We have watched your species with growing concern as you spread across the galaxy like a disease. You establish colonies without permission, ignore established boundaries, and develop weapons with reckless abandon." Before Bora could respond, a massive insectoid creature stepped forward from a zone that looked like a tropical jungle. It stood 12 feet tall on 6 legs with mandibles that could probably cut through steel. When it spoke, the sound was like grinding metal. "I am Warcast Prime Korthul of the Kethvar," the creature announced. "Your species shows all the signs of an aggressive parasite. You consume resources without regard for balance, fight among yourselves constantly, and now threaten the stability that has existed for millennia." Dr. Song leaned close to Bora and whispered, "Captain, their technology readings are off the charts. But notice how they present themselves. They are trying to intimidate us with displays of power rather than actual threats. That suggests they prefer psychological warfare to physical conflict." The other council members introduced themselves one by one. The Morden appeared as a massive aquatic creature in a tank of purple water. The Veltari representative was a living crystal that sang rather than spoke. The Nebulons manifested as a swirling cloud of gas with sparks of intelligence moving through it. The Sylvani looked like a walking tree with flowers that changed color as it spoke. Finally, the Turroks appeared as a silicon-based being that looked like it had been carved from living rock. Each introduction was clearly designed to show humanity how small and young they were compared to these ancient powers. But Bora noticed something that Dr. Song had missed. For all their advanced technology and impressive appearances, the council members spoke like beings who had not been challenged in a very long time. "Now," said Prime Arbiter CouncilEscorted, "we will inform you of the terms under which your species may continue to exist in this galaxy." Diplomat Yun Su Han stepped forward. "With respect, honored council members, we came here hoping for a dialogue between equals, not to receive orders." The silence that followed was so complete that Bora could hear her own heartbeat. Then Warcast Prime Korthul let out a sound that might have been laughter if insects could laugh. "Equals?" the creature said. "Your species achieved faster than light travel 50 of your years ago. We have been traveling between stars since before your son was born. You have colonized 400 systems. We control millions. In what possible way do you consider yourselves our equals?" Dr. Song spoke up before anyone could stop him. "Because we got this far in 50 years without anyone's help or permission. How long did it take your species to spread across the galaxy when you first discovered space travel?" The question hung in the air like an accusation. Bora could see the council members exchanging glances, or whatever passed for glances among beings of energy and crystal and gas. "That is irrelevant," said the Veltari representative, its crystal body ringing like a bell. "What matters is the current balance of power. Your rapid expansion threatens systems that have been carefully managed for thousands of years." "Managed by whom?" asked Yun Su Han. "Did the species living in those systems ask to be managed? Or did you simply decide that you knew what was best for everyone?" Prime Arbiter CouncilEscorted flared brighter, and the temperature in the chamber rose noticeably. "You dare question the wisdom of the Council? We have prevented wars, maintained order, and guided the development of countless species. Without our guidance, the galaxy would have destroyed itself long ago. And yet," said Bora, finding her voice at last, "here we are. A species that developed without your guidance and somehow managed not to destroy ourselves or anyone else. Maybe your system is not as necessary as you think." The Terroks representative spoke for the first time, its voice like grinding stones. "Your species fights constant wars among yourselves. Your history is written in blood and violence. You are exactly the kind of chaotic element that the Council exists to control." "Yes, we fight," Dr. Song said with surprising passion. "We fight for resources, for territory, for ideas, for freedom. And every fight makes us stronger and smarter and more adaptable. When was the last time any of your species faced a real challenge? When did you last have to innovate or die?" Bora realized that her scientist was touching on something important. These beings had been in power for so long that they had forgotten what it was like to struggle. They maintained their positions through technology and tradition, not through constant adaptation. Warcast Prime Korthul stepped closer to the platform, its mandibles clicking ominously. Enough philosophy. You will now hear the terms of your species' continued existence. First, humanity will cease all expansion beyond your current borders. Second, you will submit to Council oversight of all military development. Third, you will accept Council governors on your major worlds to ensure compliance with galactic law. Fourth, you will share all technological innovations with the Council for evaluation and approval. And if we refuse, asked Yunsu Han quietly, then your species will be classified as a galactic threat and dealt with accordingly, replied Prime Arbiter Kesselarix. We have the power to sterilize every human world within a matter of days. Do not test our resolve. Bora looked at her companions and saw her own thoughts reflected in their faces. These aliens were offering humanity a choice between slavery and death. There was no middle ground, no room for negotiation. Either humans would bow down and accept permanent second-class status, or they would be destroyed. We will need time to consult with our government, said Yunsu Han, playing for time. You have until tomorrow at this time, said Warcast Prime Korthul. The decision will be made here and now, or our escort fleet will ensure your compliance through force. As the three humans were escorted back to their shuttle, Dr. Song was quiet until they were safely away from alien sensors. Then he turned to his companions with excitement in his eyes. Did you see how they reacted when we questioned their authority? He said. They are not used to being challenged. Everything about their behavior suggests a civilization that has grown comfortable with absolute power. That might be true, said Bora, but they still have the technology to back up their threats. Those escort ships could probably destroy our entire fleet. Maybe, said Dr. Song, but I noticed something else. Every piece of technology we saw was incredibly advanced, but also incredibly specialized. They have built the perfect tools for maintaining order and control. But I wonder how well their perfect tools would work against something they were not designed to handle. Yunsu Han was already thinking about the message she would send back to Earth. Whatever we decide, we need to be prepared for the consequences. If we refuse their demands, there will be war, and if we accept them, humanity will never be free again. As their shuttle approached the human fleet, Bora looked back at the alien station one last time. Tomorrow, humanity would have to choose between freedom and survival. She just hoped they were strong enough to choose both. Admiral Jae-min Kim sat in the conference room aboard the Indomitable, listening to Captain Bora Choi's report with growing anger. Around the table, his senior officers wore expressions ranging from shock to rage. The Council's ultimatum was even worse than they had feared. So our choices are slavery or death, said General Seung-woo Nam, commander of the fleet's marine forces. He was a big man with scarred hands and the look of someone who had fought his way up from the enlisted ranks. I have to say, Admiral, I prefer the third option. Which is? Asked Admiral Kim, though he suspected he already knew the answer. We fight, said General Nam simply. Maybe we lose, maybe we all die, but at least we die as free humans instead of living as alien pets. Chief Engineer Dong-hyun Lim shook his head. General, I respect your courage, but we need to be realistic. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Our weapons might not even scratch their hulls. Maybe, maybe not, said Lieutenant Commander Hae-jin Kim, the Admiral's daughter and the fleet's chief tactical officer. She was young but brilliant, with a mind that could see patterns others missed. I have been analyzing the escort ships since we arrived. Their design philosophy is completely different from ours. She activated the holographic display, showing detailed scans of the alien vessels. Look at their hull configuration. Everything is optimized for energy efficiency and speed. Their shields are incredibly powerful, but they seem to rely on them completely. I do not see the kind of backup systems and redundant armor that we build into our ships. Admiral Kim leaned forward. What are you thinking, Hee-jin? I am thinking that these ships were designed by a civilization that has not fought a real war in a very long time, she said. They have the perfect tools for intimidating primitives and destroying undefended planets. But I wonder how they would perform against an enemy that could actually hurt them back. Commander Yoo-jin Lee, who had been quiet until now, spoke up from her position at the intelligence console. Admiral, I have been monitoring Council communications since our people returned from the station. The encryption is beyond our ability to break, but we can analyze the traffic patterns. And the volume of communications has increased by over 300%. since Captain Choi delivered our request for time to consider their demands. If they were as confident as they appear, why would they need to talk so much? Dr. Min Ho Song entered the conference room at that moment, still wearing his analysis equipment. Admiral, I apologize for being late, but I have been studying every piece of data we collected about Council technology. I think I have found something important. He moved to the display and brought up energy readings from the alien ships. These vessels are incredibly advanced, but they all show the same characteristic. They are operating at approximately 60% of their maximum power output. Meaning what exactly? Asked Admiral Kim. Meaning they are either conserving power for some reason or they are deliberately limiting their output to avoid appearing too threatening, Dr. Song explained. Either way, it suggests that they are not taking us seriously as a potential threat. Chief Engineer Lim studied the readings with professional interest. If they are running at reduced power, that means their shield generators and weapons are not operating at full capacity. It also means they probably have not activated all of their defensive systems. In other words, said General Nam with a wolfish grin, they are not ready for a real fight. Admiral Kim stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the human fleet. 200 ships, built in the shipyards of a dozen different worlds. They were not pretty like the alien vessels, but they were tough and reliable and crewed by people who had never known defeat. Admiral, said Captain Tae-young, commander of the stealth ship Ghost. I have taken the liberty of positioning my vessel where it can observe the alien fleet without being detected. Their sensor technology is impressive, but it appears to be optimized for detecting large, obvious threats. A small, quiet ship can get quite close without being noticed. What have you observed? Their ships maintain perfect formation at all times, never varying their positions by more than a few meters. Their patrol patterns are mathematically precise but completely predictable. Everything about their behavior suggests standard operating procedures that have not changed in centuries. Lieutenant Commander Hyejin Kim looked up from her tactical analysis. Father, I mean Admiral, if we were to engage these ships, what would our objective be? We cannot possibly defeat the entire Council. Their combined fleets could overwhelm us through sheer numbers. The objective would not be victory in the traditional sense, said Admiral Kim thoughtfully. The objective would be to prove that humanity cannot be dismissed or controlled. To show the galaxy that there are still species willing to fight for their freedom. Commander Eugene Lee brought up a galactic map on the main display. Admiral, according to our intelligence, the Council controls most of the galaxy through a combination of superior technology and political agreements. But there are dozens of species that have been forced into submission over the centuries. If we could demonstrate that the Council can be challenged, we might inspire others to join us, finished Admiral Kim. The question is whether we can survive long enough to send that message. Dr. Song cleared his throat. Admiral, there is one more thing. During our time on the station, I was able to analyze their artificial gravity systems, atmospheric controls, and power distribution networks. Their technology is indeed more advanced than ours, but it follows completely different principles. Explain. They build for perfection and efficiency. Every system is optimized to work in harmony with every other system. It is beautiful, elegant, and incredibly effective under normal circumstances. But it also means that if you disrupt one key system, the cascading failures could bring down the entire ship. Chief Engineer Lim nodded slowly, like a house of cards. Very impressive until someone shakes the table. Exactly, said Dr. Song. Our ships are built like fortresses. Theirs are built like precision instruments. Both approaches have advantages, but in a real fight, I would rather be in the fortress. Admiral Kim returned to his seat and looked around the table at his officers. I want opinions. Do we accept the Council's terms and hope for better treatment than we expect? Do we try to negotiate for something less than complete surrender? Or do we reject their ultimatum and face the consequences? General Nam was the first to speak. Admiral, I have been a soldier for 30 years. I have fought pirates, rebels, and corporate armies. I have never surrendered to anyone. And I am not about to start with these aliens. If they want to control humanity, they can try to do it over my dead body. I agree with the General, said Lieutenant Commander Hyejin Kim. But we need to be smart about this. If we are going to fight, we need to make it count. One battle will not defeat the Council, but it might buy us time to prepare for the real war. Chief Engineer Lim was more cautious. Admiral, I am an engineer, not a warrior. But I know that sometimes you have to take risks to achieve greatness. If we accept their terms now, humanity will never reach its full potential. If we fight and lose, at least we will have tried. Commander Eugen Lee nodded. Sir, the intelligence reports suggest that the Council has grown complacent over the centuries. They maintain order through reputation and superior technology, not through actual combat experience. A species that could hurt them back might be something they have never prepared for. Dr. Song was quiet for a long moment before speaking. Admiral, as a scientist, I am trained to consider all possibilities. There is a chance that we are completely wrong about their capabilities. There is a chance that they could destroy our entire fleet without taking a single casualty. But there is also a chance that we are right, and that their perfect technology is not as perfect as it appears. Captain Tae Young. O spoke last. Admiral, my ship specializes in gathering intelligence and staying hidden. I have seen what happens when powerful civilizations become too comfortable with their power. They stop adapting, stop improving, stop preparing for new threats. I think these aliens have forgotten what it means to face an enemy that refuses to give up. Admiral Kim stood again and walked to the communications console. Open a channel to all ships in the fleet, he ordered. The comm officer nodded and signaled that the channel was open. This is Admiral Kim speaking to all vessels of the human fleet, he began, his voice carrying clearly to every ship in the formation. In 1 hour, I will transmit our response to the Galactic Council's ultimatum. I want every captain, every officer, and every crew member to understand what we are facing. He paused, looking out at the alien escorts waiting patiently in the distance. The Council has offered us a choice between submission and destruction. They believe their superior technology makes them untouchable. They believe their ancient authority makes them unquestionable. They are about to learn that they have never met a species like humanity. The channel remained open as Admiral Kim composed his thoughts. In 50 years, we have spread across 400 star systems. We have built cities on airless worlds, tamed hostile environments, and turned empty space into thriving communities. We did this not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Because humans do not accept limitations on what we can achieve. His voice score, the response from the Council, came within minutes of Admiral Kim's declaration. Warcast Prime Corthal's voice echoed across all communication channels, filled with the cold certainty of an ancient predator. So be it, primitive species. You have chosen extinction over wisdom. Your fleet will be disabled and your crews taken as examples to other foolish races who might consider defying the Council's authority. Captain Hyunwoo Park felt his hands tighten on the command chair as the alien ships began to move. The 12 Council escorts spread out in a perfect formation, their crystalline hulls beginning to glow with contained energy. They moved with the confidence of beings who had never lost a battle. All ships, this is Admiral Kim, came the voice over the fleet channel. Remember, we are not just fighting for ourselves today. We are fighting for every species that dreams of freedom among the stars. Show them what humans can do when we refuse to give up. On the bridge of the Determination, Lieutenant So-Ra Jung called out from her sensor station. Captain, the alien ships are powering up their weapon systems. Energy readings are climbing rapidly. Acknowledged, replied Captain Park. All hands battle stations. This is not a drill. The ship's alarm klaxons began to wail as crew members rushed to their positions. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Dong Hyun Lim's modifications hummed to life, ready to give the human ships every advantage they could manage. The first shots came from the Council ships as beams of pure energy lanced across space toward the human fleet. The weapons were beautiful and terrible, like artificial lightning that could cut through solid metal. But the human ships were ready. Evasive maneuvers, ordered Captain Park as the Determination rolled hard to port. The energy beam passed close enough to overload several sensor arrays, but the ship's thick armor absorbed the electromagnetic pulse without critical damage. Around the fleet, other human ships were doing the same. Unlike the precise formations favored by the Council escorts, the human vessels moved in chaotic patterns that seemed random, but were actually carefully coordinated. They had learned this technique fighting pirates and corporate fleets in the outer systems, where predictability meant death. Captain, our weapons are in range, reported Weapons Officer Min-jae Kang. Orders? Fire at will, said Captain Park. Target the lead ship and give them everything we have. The Determination's main guns opened fire, sending streams of kinetic projectiles and guided missiles toward the nearest Council ship. The alien vessel's shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the impact. But something unexpected happened. Instead of bouncing off harmlessly, some of the kinetic rounds punched through the energy barrier and struck the crystalline hull directly. "Direct hits," called out Lieutenant Jung with excitement in her voice. "Their shields are not as effective against solid projectiles as they are against energy weapons." The discovery spread rapidly through the human fleet as other ships confirmed the same results. The Council's perfect defense was designed to stop the kind of weapons that civilized species used. They were not prepared for the crude but effective kinetic weapons that humans preferred. Warcast Prime Korthul's voice boomed across the communication channels again. But this time there was a note of surprise in the alien's tone. "Impossible. How are these primitives penetrating our defenses?" Captain Minjae Kang of the destroyer, Relentless, answered that question by ramming his ship directly into the side of a council escort. The Kethvar vessel's shields were designed to deflect weapons fire, not to stop a 500-meter warship moving at full acceleration. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire and metal that lit up the surrounding space. "Captain Kang," shouted someone over the fleet channel, but there was no response. The Relentless and its entire crew were gone, but they had proven something important. The supposedly invincible council ships could be destroyed. On the bridge of the carrier Valiant, Lieutenant Sora Jung's namesake was leading a squadron of fighters toward the council formation. The small craft were too fast and numerous for the alien point defense systems to track effectively. They slipped through the gaps in the council's perfect formation and delivered their payloads at point-blank range. "This is Eagle Squadron," came the young pilot's voice over the comm. "We are beginning our attack run on the big crystal ship. Wish us luck." Captain Park watched on his tactical display as the tiny fighters swarmed around the council flagship like angry insects. Their weapons were small compared to the massive alien vessel, but they were precise and numerous. More importantly, they were being piloted by humans who had grown up in the asteroid belts and knew how to fly in 3 dimensions. The council ship tried to bring its main weapons to bear on the fighters, but the massive energy cannons were designed to fight other capital ships. They could not track targets moving at such high speed and close range. The fighters pressed their attack, launching torpedo after torpedo into the alien vessel's hull. "Multiple hits on the enemy flagship," reported Lieutenant Jung from her sensor station. "Their shield generators are failing in several sections, but the human fleet was taking losses too. The council ships might have been designed by complacent civilizations, but their weapons were still devastatingly effective." The cruiser Independence took a direct hit from an energy beam and broke apart in seconds. The destroyer Courage lasted longer, but eventually succumbed to concentrated fire from 3 council ships. "Admiral, we have lost 17 ships so far," reported Commander Eugene Lee from the Fleet Command Center. "Enemy losses are 3 confirmed destroyed, 2 severely damaged." Admiral Kim's voice remained steady despite the casualties. "All ships continue the attack. We knew this would be costly, but we cannot stop now. If we fall back, they will hunt us down one by one." The turning point came when Chief Engineer Lim's modifications proved their worth. Human ships began to emit electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the council vessel's shield harmonics. The alien defenses, so perfect under normal circumstances, began to fluctuate and fail as they encountered technology they had never seen before. Captain Tae Young-oh's stealth ship Ghost appeared suddenly behind the council formation, its weapons firing at point-blank range into the unshielded rear of an enemy vessel. The alien ship's hull cracked like glass under the assault, and secondary explosions began to tear it apart from within. "This is Ghost," came Captain O's calm voice. "Enemy vessel destroyed. Moving to next target." Warcast Prime Korthul's communications were becoming increasingly frantic as the battle turned against the council forces. "How are these barbarians fighting so effectively? Our technology is superior in every way." The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Minho Song, broadcasting from the science vessel Discovery, explained it in terms the alien could understand. "Your technology is indeed superior, Warcast Prime, but you built it to fight civilized enemies who follow predictable patterns. We are not civilized. We are survivors." The battle raged for another hour with losses mounting on both sides. But gradually the human advantage in numbers and unpredictability began to tell. The council escorts, designed to intimidate through displays of power, were not equipped for a prolonged fight against opponents who refused to surrender. When the last council ship finally exploded under concentrated fire from 6 human vessels, and strange silence fell over the battlefield, The debris field glowed in the light of the distant star, a testament to the first time in millennia that someone had successfully challenged Council authority. All ships. Report status, ordered Admiral Kim. His voice was tired but triumphant. The responses came in slowly. 47 human ships had been destroyed. 89 more were damaged to varying degrees. But they had done the impossible. They had defeated a Council fleet in open battle. "Admiral," said Commander Yujin Lee quietly, "we are receiving communications from across the galaxy. News of our victory is spreading faster than we anticipated." "What kind of communications?" "Messages of support from species we have never heard of. Requests for alliance from civilizations that have been under Council control for centuries. And, Admiral," she paused, "threats from the Council itself. They are calling us criminals and promising swift retribution." Admiral Kim looked out at his battered fleet and made the decision that would shape humanity's future. "Set course for human space. We have sent our message to the galaxy. Now we need to prepare for the real war." As the human ships began their journey home, Captain Park reflected on what they had accomplished. They had proven that the Council was not invincible, that their perfect technology could be defeated by determination and innovation. But they had also started a conflict that could end with the destruction of the human race. "Captain," said Lieutenant Young from her station, "sensors are detecting massive fleet movements throughout Council space. It looks like they are mobilizing everything they have." Captain Park nodded grimly. "Then we had better make sure we are ready for them, because this was just the beginning." 6 months after the Battle of Nexus Prime, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. Admiral Jaemin Kim, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, stood on the observation deck of the new command station orbiting Earth, watching the constant stream of ships arriving and departing. The traffic included not just human vessels, but ships from a dozen different species that had joined what the galaxy now called the Freedom Alliance. "Admiral," said Ambassador Yoon Soo-han as she approached with a data pad in her hands, "we have received responses from the latest diplomatic missions. The Zephyrians have agreed to join the alliance, and the Rakthari Mining Confederation is ready to provide us with rare metals in exchange for protection from the Terrox." Fleet Admiral Kim nodded as he reviewed the reports. The Zephyrians were bird-like beings who had been restricted to their home system by Council population controls for over 1,000 years. The Rakthari were silicon-based miners who had been essentially enslaved by their Council overlords. Both species had reached out to humanity after news of the victory at Nexus Prime spread across the galaxy. "What about the Council's response to our latest proposal?" asked Kim. "Still nothing official," replied Ambassador Han, "but our intelligence sources suggest that they are not as unified as they want to appear. The energy crisis caused by the rebellions is straining their resources, and some member species are questioning whether the current system can survive." The rebellions had been the biggest surprise of all. Within weeks of humanity's victory, dozens of species across the galaxy had risen up against Council rule. Most were quickly crushed, but the very fact that they had tried sent shockwaves through the established order. After millennia of perfect control, the Council was facing challenges on hundreds of fronts. Captain Hyunwoo Park, now Admiral Park and commander of the Alliance's Joint Fleet, entered the observation lounge with Commander Yujin Lee at his side. "Fleet Admiral, we have completed the integration exercises with our new allies. I have to say the combination of human adaptability with alien specializations is producing some interesting results." "Show me," said Kim as they moved to the tactical display. Admiral Park activated a hologram, showing fleet compositions and combat simulations. The Zephyrian ships are incredibly fast and maneuverable, perfect for hit-and-run tactics. The Rakthari vessels are slow but almost indestructible, ideal for holding defensive positions. Combined with our own balanced approach, we now have fleets that can adapt to any situation. Commander Lee pointed to another section of the display. "More importantly, we are sharing technological innovations in ways the Council never allowed. Dr. Song's research teams are working with alien scientists to develop completely new approaches to faster-than-light travel, energy generation, and defensive systems. The Council maintained control by keeping their subject species isolated from each other," explained Ambassador Han. "They prevented the kind of technological exchange that we are now facilitating. In 6 months, our alliance has made advances that would have taken the Council centuries to approve. Fleet Admiral Kim studied the data with satisfaction. What about the Council's military response? We know they have been mobilizing their fleets. That is where things get interesting, said Admiral Park with a grim smile. Our intelligence suggests that they are having logistical problems. Their fleets were designed to maintain order through intimidation, not to fight extended campaigns against multiple opponents. They are discovering that actually fighting wars is much more expensive than simply threatening to fight them. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Minho Song, now director of the Alliance's Research Division. He looked excited in a way that usually meant either very good news or very bad news. Fleet Admiral, we have just received a communication that changes everything, Dr. Song announced. It came through diplomatic channels and is addressed to you personally. From whom? Supreme Luminary Asterial of the Luxari. The oldest and most powerful member of the Council wants to meet with you in person. The silence that followed was filled with the implications of that statement. The Luxari were energy beings older than human civilization, with technology that bordered on the magical. If their leader wanted to talk, it could mean either negotiation or a trap of unimaginable sophistication. What does the message say? Asked Fleet Admiral Kim. Dr. Song activated his datapad and read the translation. It says, and I quote, Fleet Admiral Kim of the human species. Your actions have introduced chaos into a galaxy that has known order for millennia. Yet perhaps chaos is what we needed. I request a meeting to discuss the future of galactic civilization. Choose the location and I will come alone as a gesture of good faith. Ambassador Han frowned. Fleet Admiral, this could be a trick. The Luxari have abilities we do not fully understand. Meeting with one of them could be extremely dangerous. On the other hand, said Admiral Park, if they really want to negotiate, this could be our chance to end the conflict before it destroys half the galaxy. Commander Lee was studying intelligence reports on her tablet. Sir, our sources indicate that the Council is fracturing. The Veltari and Terrox want to continue the war regardless of cost. The Mordun and Silvani are pushing for a negotiated settlement. The Kethvar are split between their warrior caste, which wants revenge for their losses, and their civilian leaders, who are concerned about the economic impact of the rebellions. And the Luxari? Asked Kim. Unknown, replied Lee. They have been silent during most of the crisis. This is the first direct communication we have received from them since the war began. Dr. Song looked up from his analysis. Fleet Admiral, I recommend accepting the meeting. The Luxari are ancient beyond our comprehension, but they are also pragmatic. If one of them is willing to negotiate, it suggests that they understand the old order cannot survive. Fleet Admiral Kim walked to the viewport and looked out at the bustling space traffic around Earth. Human ships worked alongside alien vessels, their crews learning to cooperate despite vast differences in biology and culture. It was exactly the kind of scene that the Council had spent millennia preventing. Where should we hold this meeting? He asked. Neutral space, suggested Ambassador Han, away from any military installations or population centers. If this is a trap, we want to minimize the potential damage. Admiral Park had a different idea. Actually, I suggest we hold it here at Earth. If the Luxari want to talk, let them see what we have built. Let them see humans and aliens working together as equals, not as masters and subjects. That is a significant risk, warned Commander Lee. If their intentions are hostile, we would be exposing our home system to attack. Yes, agreed Fleet Admiral Kim, but it would also be sending a message. We are not afraid of them, and we are confident in what we represent. Sometimes the biggest risks lead to the biggest rewards. 3 days later, a ship unlike anything ever seen appeared at the edge of the solar system. It was not built so much as grown, a crystalline structure that seemed to capture and focus the light of the sun itself. This was a Luxari vessel, and it carried Supreme Luminary Asterial to meet with the humans who had changed the galaxy. The meeting took place aboard the space station Unity-1, humanity's newest diplomatic facility. The chamber had been specially prepared, with energy fields that could accommodate a being of pure light while allowing normal beings to survive in the same space. Fleet Admiral Kim entered the chamber with Ambassador Han and Dr. Song, unsure what to expect. What they found was a presence that seemed to fill the entire room without actually occupying any physical space. When Asterial spoke, the words seemed to come from the light itself. Fleet Admiral Kim, the ancient being said, you have done something that I thought impossible. You have reminded the galaxy what it means to struggle, to grow, to change. For too long we have maintained order through stagnation. Perhaps it is time for a new approach. What are you proposing? Asked Kim carefully. The end of the Council as it currently exists, replied Astariel with startling directness. The old system has failed. Your species has proven that advancement through conflict and cooperation is more effective than advancement through control and limitation. Ambassador Han leaned forward. And what would replace the Council? Something new, said the Luxari. A confederation based on equality rather than hierarchy. A system where species advance through their own efforts rather than through the permission of their betters. It will be chaotic, unpredictable, and probably dangerous. But it will also be alive in a way that the galaxy has not been for millennia. Dr. Song could barely contain his excitement. You are talking about a complete restructuring of galactic civilization. Yes, agreed Astariel. It will not be easy. Some Council species will resist, preferring the comfort of the old ways to the uncertainty of change. But others are already adapting. The choice is between evolution and extinction. Fleet Admiral Kim considered the implications. What about the species that benefited from Council protection? The smaller civilizations that depended on the old system for security? They will be protected by the same principle that protects your species, replied the Luxari. The right of all beings to determine their own destiny.